Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You're very welcome to the Sundays at Noon concert series online, filmed here in the Sculpture Hall in the hAodáin Gallery, Parnell Square. We're delighted today to have Cassiopeia Winds play for us. Before we begin, I'd just like to thank the Arts Council of Ireland, the staff at the hAodáin Gallery and Sonic Studios for all their support putting these concerts together. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoy the concert.
Díobh go léir gur raibh míle maith agaibh as ucht teacht agus tásúlagam go manaí sibh cheannamh as an gcuireann geol seo. Hello everybody, you're all very welcome to our concert in the magnificent hAodáin Gallery. We are the Cassiopeia Winds Quintet. My name is Cormac and I'm the French horn player in the group. Our first piece is by the Austrian composer Alexander Zemlinsky. Zemlinsky was born in 1871. I remember that year because I was born in 1971. And he lived at one of the most exciting times in classical music history in Vienna at the beginning of the 20th century. Zemlinsky's music teacher was Anton Bruckner. His mentor was Johannes Brahms. One of his very best friends was Gustav Mahler, and amongst Zemlinsky's students were Arnold Schoenberg and the great American film music composer Erich Korngold. Humoreske by Zemlinsky was written in 1939, a few years before Zemlinsky's death in 1942. It's a rondo, which means that the theme is recurring and keeps on coming back. We hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm John, the bassoon player with the quintet, and our next piece is Mozart's Adagio and Allegro in F minor for mechanical organ, which he was commissioned to write in 1790. A mechanical organ is a pipe organ that is self-playing rather than being played by a musician and is activated by clockwork. A famous Austrian general named von Lauden had recently died, and a wax figure of the general was on display in his mausoleum, which contained a mechanical organ clock. And each time the clock struck the hour, the mechanical organ would play a lament. For as long as the wax figure was on display, there was a new lament played each week, and Mozart's contribution was his Adagio and Allegro. The Adagio consists of a weeping theme, and it is contrasted by the Allegro, which conveys a sense of the general's military career. Mozart was not very impressed with the tiny sound made by the mechanical organ, and later wished that the piece be played on a conventional organ. Perhaps then he would have enjoyed this arrangement for wind quintet with its more substantial tonal capabilities, played on non-mechanical instruments by non-clockwork musicians.
The sun hovered briefly on the horizon. It's a wind quintet written for Cassiopeia Winds. The title, this very vivid image of golden orb shimmering on the horizon, is one that bookends our day, so sunrise and sunset. And this piece attempts to sonify that image. So the opening of the piece is very polyphonic, very rhythmic, lots of energy, the prospect of the day ahead. And as it moves through the piece, the texture becomes more homophonic, darker, and this represents the sunset at the close of the day. The score itself is prefaced by a quote from the author Neil Gaiman, and it reads, "And for a moment, the world seemed to shimmer at the edges." And this idea and this image were the inspiration and how I thought about the piece as I wrote it. That kind of kaleidoscope of colour and shimmer, harmony and rhythm. I'm very grateful to Cassiopeia Winds for commissioning the piece, and I do hope you enjoy it.
Our next piece is going to be by a very interesting and dynamic living composer. Her name is Valerie Coleman, and she is not just a composer but a flautist. She was a founder member of the very well-known Grammy-nominated fellow wind quintet Imani Winds in America. This piece that we're going to play, her Red Clay and Mississippi Delta, you can tell from the title it's pretty evocatively written. We feel it's Gershwin-like, and when we have all our solo lines, maybe Ravel in his jazzy mode. But Valerie herself has written a program note, so I feel it's probably most appropriate to read how she feels about her own work to you. Red Clay is a short work that combines the traditional idea of musical scherzo with living in the American South. It references the background of my mother's side of the family that hails from the Mississippi Delta region, from the juke joints and casino boats that line the Mississippi River, to the skin tone of kinfolk in the area, a dark skin that looks like it came directly from the red clay. The solo lines are instilled with personality, meant to capture the listener's attention. As they wail with bluesy riffs that are accompanied by the rest of the ensemble, the result is a virtuosic chamberwork that merges classical techniques and orchestration with the blues dialect and charm of the South. We hope you enjoy it.
So the next piece we're going to play is by Amy Beach, an American composer. She was born in 1867 and she died in 1944. She was a child prodigy. By the age of 1, she was able to sing more than 40 songs. She could improvise a counter melody by the age of 2. At the age of 4, she composed 3 waltzes for piano while she was away on holidays at her grandfather's farm. But the farm actually didn't have a piano, so she composed them in her head and played them when she came home. She studied harmony and counterpoint just for 1 year at the age of 14, and for the rest she was self-taught. She had her concert debut aged 16 as a pianist, and and her audience was said to be enthusiastic in the extreme. She was known as Mrs. H.A. Beach for all of her composing life, apart from in Germany, where the Mrs. part confused them, where she was known as Amy Beach. But the reason she was known as Mrs. H.A. Beach really is her husband was quite conservative, and he only allowed her to have 2 public performances per year. She was never allowed to teach, and she wasn't allowed to study. So really, she was completely self-taught. She was she was actually the first female American composer to achieve huge success as a composer, writing over 300 works and performing them herself and having them performed by orchestras and chamber ensembles all over the world. And it would be nice to be able to leave out that she was a female composer, but it's really important because, in fact, it was, as you can hear, it was really difficult for female composers to get an audience in those days, or even to study. So she received a lot of critical acclaim, really nice critical reviews a lot of the time, but she also was told that she was what she was writing was derivative of the male composers Brahms and Schumann, and I quote, one composer wrote, "which is a weakness, for which the feminine character furnishes ground and excuse." In other words, she's weak, but it's okay because she's a woman. However, hopefully she's not received in that way today. Amy Beach, this is her Pastorale for Woodwind Quintet. Actually, it says Woodwind Quintet, but we're a wind quintet.
So, I would like to offer you some information about 3 Chromatic Miniatures. I composed these 3 tiny pieces in the summer of 2021, and I selected an unusual instrumental combination for the wind quintet by including an alto flute, a piccolo, and a bass clarinet into the usual lineup. The 3 small pieces entitled Lost, The Cynical Clown, and Child's Play have all been constructed through the use of the chromatic scale. They're short and they're sweet, and I hope that you enjoy them. Thank you.
Well, our last piece we're going to play today is by Luciano Berio, who was a very influential Italian composer, born in 1925, died in 2003, so he very much sort of scanned the whole of the 20th century. He was a contemporary of Boulez, Nono, Della Piccola and Stockhausen, and he started his career quite neoclassical in a sense, with folk song arrangements and various other very simple pieces before he embraced the avant-garde style, which was to become his later trademark. However, in 1951 he wrote Opus number Zoo, which is described as a child's play for wind quintet, where the players have to tell the story. We will be reciting or shouting the words of Rhoda Levine as we go. And it's in several movements. The first one is a kind of, it's marked barn dance, but it's more like a foxtrot, because a fox invites a chicken to dance with him. Music soon loses its geniality as it becomes clear that the fox's motives are far from pure, but the poor chicken, so proud to have been asked, is oblivious. Despite the repetitions of the text, when the light goes out, that's all, folks. The bleak second movement, with its simple questing melodies, accompanies a fawn, that's a baby deer, who cannot understand why humans are so hell-bent on destruction. And he talks about the cry of bombs, and what madness, and what can be the reason. And then, in a scherzo, the third movement, an old grey mouse, to scurrying and fussy music, tells two junior mice that she no longer cares to dance and warns them of the degradations of time. Finally, Omar and Bartholomew, two urban tomcats, indulge in a fierce fight driven by envy and pride before retreating, both the worse for wear. Anyway, Opus number Zoo by Berio. Oh, and I should say, actually, that it was dedicated, it was written in 1951 and revised in 1970. And in 1970 it was dedicated to Aaron Copland for his 70th birthday. And Berio said, actually, not just his 70th birthday, but his 51st as well, because Aaron Copland was born in 1900. Anyway, here we go.
whiskers that Omar proudly wore.
Thank you so much for tuning in and watching today. We've had a wonderful time playing here in the hAodáin Gallery. Thank you so much to the hAodáin Gallery and Mary Barnett for inviting us, to the Arts Council for sponsoring us on this tour, and also for the Commission Award for Jonathan Nangle's new work. We've had a great time, and we're going to play a little extra piece for you by Poulenc. It's his Novelette in C, which was originally written from a set of novelettes for piano, and we hope you enjoy it.